All right. Thank you very much, there, Yvonne. You've been here before, and I think we had a lot of laugh that time that you were here because it was really very interesting and engaging. So, of course, we did talk about your book. And so today we're going to start with your book, and also not just with your book, with your writing, Let's start with this. A little background of you, please, because those that are watching you, perhaps they have not even seen the last podcast. So give a little background of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me over here. It was a very pleasurable experience last time, and so we're going to do it again this time. Um, for all the people watching, hello to you. My name is Yvonne Witter. I'm in the UK. I'm of Jamaican heritage. The birthplace of reggae music, and Bob Marley. It's an international culture from a very small place. But so yeah, I'm in the UK. I'm a management consultant, a business advisor. I work with small business and social enterprise to make sure that they're functioning properly and they're sustainable organizations. So I deliver advice, consultancy, training, coaching, mentoring, you name it, for the last 20 years or so. So that's what I do in the UK. And I write. I'm a writer. I mainly write nonfiction, articles, journals, and just anything, reports. I like to write. I've written some fiction, but I'm mainly a nonfiction writer.
All right. Now we're going to be talking first about your writing, How did you get into this writing thing, I don't know. Is this something that you started when you were much younger or something um, that you started along the way?
I think when I was about 15, I remember saying to my parents that I wanted to be a journalist. And my father said I should think about something more sensible like medicine. I think that's when I started bunking off all the science lessons at high school. So yeah, I've always been interested in writing, and I've always written articles, letters to the editor in newspapers from I was very young, and always been playing around in the fringes of writing. But over the years, I've been invited to contribute to publications. I've written chapters in anthologies and built up quite a what do you call it? A catalogue of writing, if you like, a portfolio of writing. I used to edit the business page, write for the business page for the Voice newspaper in the UK. So yeah, so over the years, and then I've done some studies around writing and joined a few writing groups and done some training. And so yeah, so writing is a central theme of what I do over the years in various different ways.
Mm. All right, that is good. And since you are a writer, I'm sort of tempted to ask: Are there some book that sort of became that sort of get you into writing? Maybe you read this author's book; they were interesting to you for this. You say, "Okay, I want to also become an author one day." Or is there anything like that when you were growing up? We're still exploring your early age now.
No, no, not at all. I just like the power of words. I just see it just seems a natural thing for me. I'm not really inspired by it. I don't think I read a lot. I think I'm a great book collector. And I've heard one famous writer say that about themselves. They're not an avid, some people are avid readers. They read a book a week or a book, or 3 books a month or something. I'm not one of those types. But I do buy a lot of books and I give away a lot of books. So I don't know. I just have this thing. But of course I read all day long because I read things on the internet. I read reports and I write reports. And so whether I'm reading books or not, I'm still reading. And maybe I read more than I think I read, if you get my meaning. So yeah, and I belong to writers groups as well. But no, there wasn't any writer that inspired me in particular. No.
Okay, that's fine, and that is fair enough. Also,
Yeah, I'm self-inspired because I feel I have something to say. I'm one of those.
Okay, that's interesting. Now let's take us to your book today. So tell us something about this book. I want to actually start with the first part of it, which is cracking a nut. So, what kind
Oh,
of nut are we cracking here?
okay. So cracking a nut. I wanted to create a series of books, and I came up with the idea cracking a nut because I wanted my books to crack a nut. And by cracking a nut, I mean dealing with a complicated issue, something that might be difficult or challenging. So it could be around business, it may even be around something else, but for the moment, it's around business. And the first in the series of Cracking the Nut is developing customer service. So that's the nut I'm cracking with this book.
The second part, of course, is customer service. No, I remember when you first talked of this customer service, and we of course we talked a little bit about it at the time. No, so what is the function of this second part of the title? Of course, we are just breaking the title into two. No, cracking the non-customer service in the African and Caribbean. So can you like give us a little background into the second part of the title, which is the customer service?
Okay, so in this series of Cracking the Nut books, the first one is developing customer service in the Black-owned business, and there's another one in the African Caribbean business. It's the same content, but I've got two book covers. And the reason is that in some African Caribbean led businesses, we are challenged in terms of how we deliver our customer service. I don't know what it's like in many places, but in some countries, and from some research I've done, in certain industries, especially in the cook shop industry, and in some maybe sometimes hairdressers and barbershop, the service isn't always great. So we might go to these places to get the food we want, because our food is important to our culture, and only people who understand our hair can do our hair for us. So we end up going to particular hairdressers or barbershop because we want our hair is special and beautiful, and we need it to be done by people who understand it. The food is a part of our culture. So especially if we're in a foreign country, we want to eat our food. We want to have the food that we like, that makes us happy, and that's nostalgic for home. So we might buy food from a place, not because the service is good, but because the food is good and we're getting the food we want. But when we go in there, the service we get may not be so fantastic. And these businesses, they stay open regardless. They stay open because we want the food or we want the hairdresser. But the world is changing. And I feel that these businesses need to develop their customer service better, because competition from host countries will see them out of business. In the UK, we have a chain of Caribbean restaurants that opened up. In the interior, all the iconography of Caribbean culture, African culture, some of it, music, the posters, zinc, corrugated iron here, this, that, there, lots of rum punch and stuff. But the food didn't quite live up to standard. And this place wasn't opened by Black people. They were opened by people from different cultures to us. So, we are facing a situation where we may find ourselves not having our own business places if we're in competition with much more fancy places that provide a better service and equally good food. The challenge that they have is to provide the food at the moment. They just can't get it right.
All right.
And
Yeah, please go.
on the hairdressing front, in the UK, it was announced a few months ago that all hairdressing courses in the United Kingdom have to teach how to handle African hair, the texture of our hair, all courses. So if you consider in the UK that all hairdressers all over the country will now be trained to handle African textured hair, what is to happen to the Black hairdressers who've been in business for a long time, who have poor service, poor appointments? You go there, you wait 4 hours to get your hair done. The shop isn't looking very good. The hairstyle might be okay in the end, but you wasted a whole day sometimes. You make appointments, they forget, and so on and so forth. What's going to happen to those businesses when Black women can just turn up into any shop on the high street and get their hair done? So I am concerned about wealth creation in our community, in the Black community. I'm very concerned. I'm concerned that we hold on to more of our wealth because we don't hold on to much of it. We're great consumers, um, but we don't hold on to our wealth and keep it in our community for as long as we should. So that's the premise of one of the reasons. I've got several reasons, but that's one of the reasons why I think it's important to talk about customer service. It doesn't cost anything. We're not asking you to buy expensive equipment. We're not asking you to, do something really expensive. All we're saying is you can be polite to people that come into your shop. You can keep your shop clean. You can invest in an appointment system where you book people in for appointments and you keep those times as best you can. You deliver, do what you say you're going to do, and then do it. Greet people when they walk in. Remember your customer by name, and acknowledge consistent service. You have some hairdressers, you've been going to them for 2-3 years. They never acknowledge the fact that you've been giving them your money for 3 years. They just accept it as, it is what it is. So provide incentives for people to come back to you, and offer people a cup of coffee, a drink, a glass of water, a Coke, anything, while they're getting their hair done. And there's so many small things we can do. Acknowledge their birthdays when their birthdays come. Send them a card. You should register all your customers anyway and have some idea of a birth date or something.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. This argument is very, very important for the reason that you already, of course, have listed, which is about the keeping of our wealth within the community. Because for us to be able to survive in this fast changing world that is not dominated by service, I think they refer to it as the service economy. So it is very important that soft skills like those that we were mentioning become very important. And I want to believe that probably this was not taught all across the board, even among other community. But before I get there, I want to ask, this idea of poor customer service, is it something you find across all no-European market? Or is it some African market, for example? I want to see if it's something that is general for all Black people. Let's use the word like that
Yeah,
in UK.
it's interesting. That's a very good question. Now, in the UK, there was the BBC. Everybody knows the BBC. The BBC had a comedy series written by Black people, performed by Black people. Not very often we have this, but we had one. And in that comedy series, there is a video called, it's on YouTube now, so anybody can find it. It's called Misery West Indian Restaurants. Anybody can find it on YouTube. I gave a talk last week about my book, and I played that clip. I was laughing so much, tears streaming down my face. And this video is from, I think, in the 90s. It was so funny, but it's extreme, but it's not too dissimilar today, where somebody comes into the place, asks for an item on the menu, they don't have it, and then just the way they spoke to the customer, it was so bad. But I was laughing my head off, and I think from too many years, we've taken it as a joke. The other thing, I was working in Ghana, and I was talking to maybe about 300 business people. And I can't remember what the conversation was about, but I think one of my colleagues mentioned customer service. And I asked the audience, how many of you in this audience, because I was curious, on the continent, how people feel. I said, how many of you in the audience experience poor customer service? And Obehi, nearly every hand went up. And I said to them, well, you're all business people, and if all of you experiencing poor customer service, some of you must be part of the problem. Everybody was kind of very embarrassed and kind of looked down. But it's true. If you're in a room with so many people and everybody's putting their hand up, then some people must be part of the problem, right? So I think some of the expectations may come in African countries. I'm not sure, but I imagine that some of the expectations may come from people who have traveled, or international companies operating in a different way. Because how do you know something's not good, or you just feel you're not having a good experience? In the UK, you have much to compare with because you have all the high street shops with big budgets to set up customer service departments and handle complaints and all that kind of thing. The small business can't afford that. But back to your question of whether it's common to Black people. In the cook shops that sell Caribbean food, Jamaican food, African, West African food, and so on and so forth, it's just the service is just not. It's not efficient. And when I was doing because I wrote an academic paper in 2012 about service versus servitude. Are we as Black people conflating service with servitude? Is it that we feel uncomfortable serving others, and we feel like, we're in servitude or in enslavement to other people and we don't like it? Maybe it's something in our pathology that we're resistant to providing service. So I did this research and I found out many things. I looked at the text from Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and Luther King, and they talked about the fact that their own people were not supportive sometimes in the struggle, and how their own people often let them down and were untrusting. And so the question is, do we have fundamental issues of trust in our community? The other issue that came up for me was the fact when I did my research was that I did the research to present at an academic conference, enterprise conference, just to contextualize it. The other thing that came up was, that for people who are low paid workers across the industry, across culture, across color, anything, low paid workers are not always the most chirpy people because, they're not earning much money, and so on. But one of the other things that came up was in these small African Caribbean businesses, the person running the business feels like he's King Kong or she's Queen Kong. And so they don't always treat the staff well. And that's the truth. And miserable people are miserable to customers. They're not going to be happy if your boss is treating you, if your papers aren't straight and your boss is exploiting you anyway. You're not going to be the nicest person when somebody comes in, right? And I'm not saying everybody in these shops don't have their papers straight. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, in these situations, it can be challenging. So there's lots and lots of issues that may make people on the front that you see behave in the way that they do. You're going and they're on their phone. They don't want to even take their head up out their phone to ask you, what would you like? And it's just a continuous way of behaving. And not all, I need to stress, there are some businesses out there doing absolutely fantastic, but those that are doing bad, someone told me they were in a restaurant a few weeks ago and they sat down to eat and they made their order. And then there was this man there, and I don't suppose he was the owner, I don't know. Anyway, halfway through their meal, this man was sitting over to the side eating something. One of the people in the dinner party asked him for something. He said, "Don't you see that I'm eating?" Why is he eating then when the people are there? And even if he is eating, it doesn't. So what? You put that plate, or where you shove that plate somewhere, immediately you jump up and you say, "How can I help you?" You don't say, "Don't you see I'm eating?" You can't. So this is weeks ago. This is not a long time ago. And then I saw something on, is it Instagram, where this man, or Facebook, this man was so angry. This is in America now. Caribbean man. He said he drove miles to get to this shop to buy Jamaican patty and some Caribbean food. And he filmed the guy serving him. Honestly, it was so bad. The guy was on his phone. He wasn't paying any attention to the man. The man came out of the shop and he sat in his car and he was fuming. He was so angry because he drove so far to spend his money, and this is the way he feels he was treated badly. So if we don't fix up, we're going to lose our businesses. Our community is going to lose money again, and people will continue to sell us stuff. In America, the Koreans sell our hair. In England, the Asians sell us our food and our hair products. You know, we are slowly catching up, but we need to move faster.
All right. I am really interested in the reasons why some of these things are like this. The why, of course, in that whether it is cultural, in that this is the way we are as a people, or it is as a result of an experience, as a result of an event, which, for
Mm,
example, can be maybe something educational, no? Because, or maybe because somebody have compared you to do something like that, or you have learned it, or experience have taught you, even though it might not really be inherent as a culture, but
mm.
now that is now an attitude. Of course, after many years, many generations, it becomes also a culture, because culture is not it's not something that you invent from, you don't bring it from academic background. It's just an experience, no? So why is it?
You see,
Yeah.
that's a good point. So somebody said to me a few days ago, oh, but you know, and they move so slow. And I said, but in hot countries, people don't move fast because it's hot. So who's going to be, unless it's air conditioned, who's going to be running from one end of a place to another? They're going to move at a different pace to you would in the UK, where it's nearly always cold and rainy. Where if you don't move fast, you get cold anyway, unless you're sitting in front of a heater. So, but having said that, they move slow in the cook shop. So, yeah, it does make you wonder, the people working in the cook shop, culturally, are they from somewhere else? Are they Black British? Not, I don't think many are from UK culture. The pay is not great, and I can't imagine that many are. They wouldn't move so slow. That's what I'm thinking. I think that, look, all across Africa there are successful businesses. Okay, so unless it's a culture, and I haven't been to all 53 countries. I've only been to about 5 African countries, right? And so, like you say, what may be culturally okay in a country, to how long you wait for food to be come to your table. It depends on the kind of food and how they're making it. If you're making something fresh, amala fresh, it's going to take a while. Um, how expectations. But I think, to be fair, Westerners have expectations which are different when they get to Africa. They have, or the Caribbean even, they have different expectations. I hear people complaining how, in Jamaica they have to wait so long in the queue in the bank. And I'm thinking, well, where do you think you are? Where do you think you are? You're not in the UK. So bring a book with you, or bring your headphones, listen to some music and relax, because this is where you are. So I don't think we should compare the West with all its infrastructure and everything to a small island or an African country that's still putting infrastructure together. I don't think it's a fair comparison at all. What I will do, and it's a good question you raise about culture. I don't know. Maybe in certain countries, in certain places, it's okay to wait. Maybe people are not in such a rush. In the West, we have our own culture, which we think, you know, you have to be there on time at 3 o'clock, because we said 3 o'clock. And if you're not there at 3 o'clock, it's like the heavens are going to open up. I know that in some cultures, 3 o'clock could be 3:30, could be four, and it could be not at all. The person didn't show up at all, and and people take it in their stride, right? It happens. People take it in their stride. Whereas in the UK, somebody would think you'd lost your mind if it came to 3:30. They'd assume you'd had an accident or something dramatic. Someone died, or it'd have to be. If you haven't phoned to say you're going to be late. You haven't called, nothing, and you just, you know. But I worked in African countries, and and I've lived and worked in the Caribbean. So I know that 3 o'clock, maybe 3:20, 3:30, quarter to four, and it may not even happen because somebody didn't show up.
But you see, that can be something that is an attitude that is very common in parts of Africa that I know. Like if you're talking of maybe among the in West Africa, in Nigeria, for example, where I'm coming from, that is very common. Even
Right.
this argument of customer service, of course, even Nigerians are complaining about this of the services that they receive from other Nigerians.
Right.
We show that it is evident that we do have it as a problem. That's why I was saying before that when we are talking of the new economy, which is a service-based economy, where
Yeah.
the way you treat me as a customer is very important because it determines
Yes.
whether I'm going to be back again or not.
Yes.
Compared to the economy that just finished, of course, maybe it wasn't important that you know how to treat me very well because everything was different. But now, if you want to remain in business, the way you treat your customer is going to be very vital. But of course, we're also going to understand, we're also going to dig a little bit into our culture to know if, because I don't think there is any culture in the world where treating a customer badly is just a way of life.
Mm.
Maybe a little bit, okay, maybe not as clean as some other persons, but there is no way it is condoned. For example, let me show you an instance. No, in my culture, I'm from Esa, but Esa culture, Esa come from Benin originally, but
Oh.
of course, if you extend it, you are talking of other African culture. No,
Mm.
these things, the way that we behave is not completely different. In that, when you see a stranger coming, you treat this stranger with a maximum respect. By that I mean, you don't have to make the stranger wait. You don't have to misbehave with the stranger, like disrespect him or her.
Mm.
You don't have to cheat the stranger. I'm talking culturally now, no?
Yes.
By the value that we live by. You don't have to cheat this stranger because this is a stranger. It's somebody that needs your help, you know?
Mm.
But of course, along the line, there are sometimes some people who just break all the rules that are in the book. It sometimes does happen too. That is why I
Mm.
was saying that it is important that we try to understand where this attitude is coming from, whether it is cultural or it is by the experience that we have gone through. By the experience, it will mean that, like you were saying before, no, looking at the experience of slavery, a lot of Africa were pushed into slavery. They were enslaved. And one of the thing that they were made to do in the period of enslavement is for them to serve other people. Of course, they may have been told how to serve other people, but now you are talking of a human being who, at a point, or as always, knew that this wasn't his position. He didn't want to serve other
Mm.
people.
Mm.
So his attempt to refuse that might
Mm.
gradually become a way of life because he doesn't like that position. He
Doesn't.
doesn't like to be servitude, so that we can therefore begin to travel a very fine line between service and servitude. Maybe he doesn't want to be a servitude, and for that, he's not doing a quality service. I'm not saying
Mm.
this is the reason, but why not? We can also consider that. So
Mm.
I'm asking you also, because you have done research in this area, what do you think are the reasons for this poor service? Because it's not serving us as a community.
Well, I cannot say conclusively, and that's the truth. I can only say, based on my research, that it feels like we are conflating service with servitude. And the more I delve into this topic, I have to be honest and say there is no one single reason, but the highest reason seems to me to be that somewhere in our pathology we see service as something completely different, and we see it as some kind of throwback from enslavement and servitude, and we're just not interested. We're just not having it, you know. But I don't understand, because people on the continent, and maybe I just don't know enough about history, because people on the continent were not necessarily enslaved in the way trans Caribbean people were. But you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. So I would have thought that people on the continent wouldn't have the same kind of attitude or wouldn't have it strong. So I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, that is the part I was saying before, that culturally speaking, but of course now I'm speaking for my culture, which is Esa, or by extension, the Benin culture. Of course,
Mm,
not too far away from other cultures in Nigeria, because Nigeria is not one culture. Nigeria haven't
mm.
evolved enough to have just one culture, no? And
Huge place.
so in my culture, a stranger,
Benin.
which by extension can be a customer, somebody who
Mm,
is coming from the outside, is
mm.
treated with utmost respect, protected.
Oh, they
It,
treat
yeah,
outsiders
yeah,
better.
outsider just have to be treated with utmost respect. Also because it is part of the selling. Because now community have to deal with other community. When you talk to a stranger, you are almost like an ambassador, because you are speaking for yourself. So if you are a bad person, you can if you don't have a good manner, there is no way the community can present you to speak for them, because then you are going to be bringing a disrepute to them.
That's
So in
interesting.
the way you talk to the stranger, what you say,
Um,
sometimes maybe you don't have enough, but you need to give to the stranger because the stranger needs it. And a stranger in this case can be a customer, somebody that is coming into your domain.
mm.
So
I
that is okay. That is from my understanding, from our cultural point of view. Do people in my culture treat people badly? Of course they do. Some people break the rule, all the rules in the book sometimes. In Lagos, for example, exactly what you are describing in London or in other part of UK is what you see there. Because the Lagos lifestyle is not based on my culture. It's based on the Western culture.
mm,
It's based on the education that we have gotten. So am I blaming this one on the West? No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to maybe go a little bit deeper to understand where all these things are coming from. Because, like you said, that probably might not be one simple explanation for all of it. We are talking of culture, and culture can be really complex. But we understand that we don't want it like this. So maybe I will throw the question back to you again. How do we start the conversation on how to modify this behavior? Because, like I said, in my culture, this is not right. You don't treat a stranger badly. It is not culturally accepted from where I'm coming from.
it's interesting what you say because some people say that if a white person walk into these shops, they treat them very well.
Well, by extension, it doesn't necessarily have to be only the white. It means because
No,
by
sorry, I'm talking about in the UK in the cook shops. I'm saying in the UK in the same establishments where black people might complain about poor service, where white people walk um, in some places, in not all, but in some places they're treated better. There is much more of a move towards serving, and sometimes that's around one. Sometimes it's around being unusual to see them. I think in places, what my observation has been in places where there's lots of white people, they're treated pretty much the same as everybody else. I think in places where it's unusual, the person might jump up and be like, "Oh," and seem more alert and busy and interested to serve. Um, in really some areas I've been in where there's like 3 or 4 white people in the queue, they're there waiting, and the service is as slow as it is for everybody else. Um, I think in many cultures, in Jamaican culture, I can speak for Jamaican culture. Strangers are always treated nice. In my family, we always treat strangers nice. If somebody new comes into the community, we want to, generally they're treated well. So I don't know if that's a throwback from the Benin, from the Benin community, but yes, I did my ancestry chart, and I'm supposed to be from that place myself. But
Oh, welcome, sister.
yeah, thank you very much. I need to visit and get my proper name and everything.
Okay.
But yeah,
The
so
Oba will welcome you. We welcome all the children of Africa that are missing in the world. You are
I'm telling
welcome home.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to go and sort myself out. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other interview. But I think, to back to your question, I think this thing operates on many levels, Obehi. Oh, I think it's no one thing. It's a lot of different levels. But like you, I agree. We have to fix it. We really have to fix it. We can't keep, like you say, accepting it as some kind of cultural thing. Do you know, somebody told me when I wrote the book, I asked somebody who's fairly prominent in business to review it. And he said to me, oh, he had the book for a while and he said, oh, I don't want to review that book because it's not true. There isn't a problem with customer service. I said, you're joking. He said, yeah, but only the cook shops. So I said, oh,
No
so, and
way.
he laughed. And
No
he laughed.
way.
Yeah, this is somebody who's been on telly here. This is a prominent, he laughed. And I said to him, I don't think it's funny. Those cooks, this is how embedded it is in the culture. This is how embedded it is. I said to him, I don't think it's funny. Those cook shops, they remortgage, they borrow money, they take susu money or partner money, whatever it's called, whatever, and they put together and their family lend them money and people, and they open these shops. They've invested. They're important businesses. You can't just. And he just was like, yeah, those shops are small business. They're not important. They're not, he gets good service wherever he goes and he doesn't see a problem.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
I would like to respond to that.
Yeah, go on. Yes.
My response is that you don't really need to go very far to find evidence of poor service, poor customer service among the African community, whether abroad or at home.
In our own country. Yeah.
Yeah, it is true that there is a poor customer service. If you go to typical so-called African shops, I don't know if that is what they are called in the UK. In Italy, of course, they are called African shops, a place where you go to find African things like food, cut your hair and things like that. I'm not saying all of them, but majority of them are not poorly kept. If you think I'm lying, go around, you will see. The way, maybe for example, they place advert in front of them to show something, it is not poorly, it's not really properly kept. No, even though they had the possibility of keeping them.
Yes.
This thing can easily degenerate to many other areas, to attitude, to behaviors, no? Yes. So when we say that is a poor customer service, it is true that it's a poor customer service. Now, I give you another example. This was in 2013. I was on a trip to Nigeria. I've just come down from Air France. The flight, of course, was full, as always. A lot of people were coming down. There was this flight attendants. It was a European, not African. He asked a question to the Nigerian custom officer, who, by extension, he wasn't even very well kept as a person, a custom officer, of course, but very old woman. The way the woman responded to the flight attendant, a young lady, I was ashamed, like as if she wanted to be angry. But now my question was, you, a custom officer, you are supposed to be the window to Nigeria because you are the first person the people see. You cannot treat people harshly. It must be like, you must smile, like you must propose positivity to this country. Smile to the people. How can I help you? For the fact that somebody make an attempt to ask you a question, you must be available. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the idea that we have this poor customer service is not far-fetched. It's all over. It is a problem, and we need to fix it. So this is why I really like the conversation that we have a poor customer service within the community, not only in Nigeria or maybe here in Italy or in the UK, all over. If you think it is true, go around, you will see. So there is not even argument on that whether it is there or not, it is there. So the question I have for you, Yvonne, is how can we fix it? How do we start to fix it?
I think this conversation with you is making me think about culture. And I think the only thing I can say is that, because in Jamaica, the government departments, a lot of them, it's the same sort of thing. But it's making me think about culture and infrastructure. Like for example, the lady somebody on customs, I mean, please, that's just about good manners and being nice and to people. That doesn't cost anything, does it? Sometimes when it comes to dealing with a query quickly, people having to wait a long time, that could be to do with infrastructure, not having enough equipment, computers, enough bandwidth. It can be related to a lot of different things. But I think the thing that needs to happen now, really and truly, is the training. There needs to be a cultural shift. I think that's what needs to happen. So if we were to say, you and I were to agree, for example, that it's to do with culture, the work then is to have a cultural shift. Is it in the same way in terms of racism in the UK? For example, they're looking at cultural competency in the workplace. Are you culturally competent? And I think it's the same thing around customer service. Are they culturally competent? And maybe that's work for me to do now, to see what I can create that looks at a kind of a cultural competence around customer service, because that may be the thing to do, to see it, like you say, to see it for what it is, and say, look, this cannot continue any longer. It's of no benefit to anybody, not to you, your organization, your government, your country, nor to the person who needs the service, and how it impacts them on financially, reputationally, pointing out all the different ways in which it impacts them. Because the foreign hotels, for example, for tourism, foreign hotel staff are trained to behave in a particular way, and they do it all about training.
I work in a hotel for a very long time. I work as a receptionist. So
Tell me.
I I get the value of what you are talking about, no? That it's not like maybe, for example, the man that was eating and he said, "Don't you see that I'm eating?" You don't do that, But you should be ashamed that you are
Yes.
eating where you are supposed to be doing business to start with. So that when some people come in and they say that you are eating, you just hide it somewhere. Then you
Yes,
smile,
you had it exactly.
And of course, we can try to even understand the philosophy, the psychology behind the smile that people usually smile at you when you meet them for the first time. I think that is a saying that you can never beat first impression.
No,
It is very
no,
important. Because now
very.
you imagine you walk into a hotel. If you go to a hotel, any standard hotel, you see
Mm,
that the receptionists always try to smile at you. It's not because
mm,
they are weak. They are not weak. It's not about being weak. It's a marketing. It's
mhm,
about marketing that
mhm,
hotel. Because
mhm,
if you don't do it well, that person, if it's a bad person, then it will go, of course, not a
mm,
bad person really. It depends on how the person reason. It will just go and
mm,
write a bad review for you, and that is
mm,
bad business for
mhm.
you. And on the other hand, it will never come back to that place again
No,
because you are not the only hotel in the town.
no, no,
So why would you
no.
treat somebody badly? Somebody that uses some money to pay for the service? Come on. A
Yeah,
minimum of proposing positivity should
yeah,
be something to be where
yeah,
we might need to start from.
yeah. So you're right. It does impact on so many different levels, and it's and maybe if we're honest with ourselves, we may have to say it's cultural.
But I don't know if it's really kosher.
You know why I say that? Let me tell you why I say that. I say that because there is a tacit acceptance of it. If I can be in a room and 300 people can put their hand up and say everybody's having poor customer service, right? That means there is a tacit understanding, acceptance, sorry, a tacit acceptance that this is the way it is. And it's the same with the cook shops at the moment in the UK. You go there because you want your authentic food. You don't want to cook today, or whatever, or you feel for something and you don't and so you buy it, and you buy it there because it tastes good and it's all this stuff. That's it. So I think there is this tacit understanding, tacit compliance agreement, or almost like a sad agreement. Because I did a Survey Monkey back in 2012 when I was writing my academic paper, and all the people said that they went there because of the thing that they went for, whether the hair product, the hairdresser, the food, or the clothes, whatever. They went for that thing. And then when asked if they would go somewhere else if they provided a better service but equal quality, they said they would.
Of course. Of course. See, that is a better service. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But another thing I'm trying to be curious about now is that because you have done this research, because me, I'll be curious about it for a long time. Have you tried to compare other ethnic background in the UK? Because, for example, where here I am in Verona, in the north of Italy, there are many other community here, like the Japanese, sorry, the Chinese, the Brazilian, the Sri Lanka. A lot of Sri Lanka have shops here. The Indian, the Arabs. So, have you tried to compare these different communities to see if this problem is prevalent among the
I
typical
tell you
African
what,
community?
I tell you what I realized not so long ago, not in 2012, but recently since I published the book. When I published the book, did I publish yet or close to publishing? I think I may have included it in the book actually. Yeah, I was doing the final edit, and I'd gone somewhere, and it dawned on me. Obehi, it dawned on me. I was thinking, how come we're not going to Indian shops, for example? We don't get this type of service. No, they may. Some of them are hostile because of their caste system and they're racist. Some of them will greet you, but it's not genuine. You can see in their eyes it's not genuine, even if they greet you. Right? It's very functional. But the thing I noticed the most was it was men serving in those shops. I struggled to find a shop. There are some in the UK, maybe the post office or some of the paper shops, but you struggle to see any Asian woman behind the counter of these places selling food and stuff in the night or whatever. You don't see it. It's men. And I was thinking to myself, maybe the men, Turkish kebab shop, those shops open late at night in the UK, Greek shops, Turkish shops. I don't see women ever. So I think another mainly Muslim people. And I was thinking to myself, I think women are more easily oppressed than men. And I'm wondering if these men are not so oppressed. They're paid better and they're men. So that's one thing that came to mind. And I think the Chinese are I didn't look at the Chinese because what's to look at? The Chinese have this thing down to a fine art.
What is that supposed to be?
Well, the Chinese, the Chinese have service down. I mean, I don't know about. I've never been to Nigeria, but in the Caribbean they own the hardware stores. In England they have whole villages. Chinatown in America, Chinatown. The Chinese provide service, and they just provide it. They don't. It's not a big thing. You go in there for service, and they're serving you. I think they're not confused. They want your money.
That is very important.
Yeah, it just feels like, for them it's a transaction. Let's get this thing done. Let's sort it out as best we can, as quickly as we can, as simply as we can. Chinese have, 42 different dishes on their menu. And you say to them, I want number 41, fine. You want number 36, good. You want number 20, yes. Number 9, okay. Caribbean restaurant you go in, they have all these things on the menu. Have you got any seafood? No, not today. Have you got any vegetable? No, not today. Have you got any? It's just finished. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? And the Chinese, he wants to get that food back out to you so you get his money as quickly as possible. You go about your business. They don't even want you to hang around in their place. Until you finish eating, they're clearing away your plates and clearing the table. Can I get you anything else? They want you to get up and go. So the table somebody else can sit there. To me, they're very, very focused. The Chinese, to me, are very focused on collecting their money.
And you said they are doing the service.
Well, it's not. There's no frills.
Do you do the free service, or did they do the service?
There's no frill. There's no. What you call it? There's no niceness with it, is it? I don't know about your experience. My experience is no niceness. 1% of the time somebody might smile or talk to you about the weather. There's no niceness. You want 4 items? Okay, we'll go 4 items. Thank you. £50. Okay, you pay the money. Okay, it's coming. If it's slow, you ask them, where's the food? It's coming. And then it comes. Thank you.
I see. I get it.
Yeah, it's efficient. It's efficient. They're efficient. They're very efficient. And they're collecting their money.
We're going to follow the money, and that is very important.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I really thank you for this conversation because it's very important. The customer service is very, very important. But there's another thing that really I found, not another thing, but another area, another angle that I'm really interested in your book, is that you use you use story a lot in conveying your message. Of course, now I'm looking at the format, I'm looking at the style of your writing. Is there something to that? How do
Yes.
you use that tactics?
Yes. Very important. When I wrote the academic paper, I wrote it and I thought to myself, this isn't reaching the people I want it to reach. This is not for academics. I want our people in our community, in our countries, to understand the problem and address it. And I was thinking, how can I get this information out? Since 2012, I've been wondering, how do I get this information out? And I did some intensive training in cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is a very, very dry area, very dry. And I remember my colleagues talking about using storytelling to talk about cybersecurity to ordinary people and in business as well. And I was thinking, And then I started looking into the storytelling format. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to use the storytelling format to talk about customer service. So in my book, Developing Customer Relationships in the Black-owned Business, in my book, it's a story of family, of love. There's a little bit of romance. There's a lot of business advice and a lot of strategies. But it's about family. It's about support. Because the central character is a young man and he wants to open a cook shop. He's got a relative who runs a very successful barbershop. So in the book, you see how successful businesses are run, what they look like, what the owner is like. And then you also see this young guy trying to find out how to set up his own business. And the book takes you through his journey so you can see how you should do it. And then the book takes the young boy to a cook shop, which is badly run. And he goes in there and the tables are sticky, they will need wiping. The person on the counter doesn't come off her phone to speak to him properly. While he's sitting waiting for the owner to come, because he's gone out to buy something to cook. And then while he's there, other customers come into the shop and they're not being served properly. She's still on her phone. She's just not, the person on the front is just not right. So meanwhile, this young guy, he's in the shop and he's seeing this and he's thinking, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't, So of course, and the way the shop is, the way it needs a painting and all this. So when he opens his shop, he knows not to do these things. He knows to do it better. So that's what the book is about. It doesn't, do down anybody. There's much more positivity in the book than there is any negativity. There's only one guy who runs a cook shop who doesn't do things the way he should, and he thinks he's right. He thinks he's right. And so he's quite funny in a way because, he's complaining about his staff and all this. But he's just typical of some of the businesses that we're talking about. So that's how storytelling, it's fun. Because if it was just like a textbook, it would be very boring.
Before the storytelling, there is something I was thinking about, which of course I forgot before I asked you of this side, which is how we could contain this problem of poor customer service if there was a competition, for example, like TripAdvisor, for example. If you're in a hotel, the hotel business, you don't want to have a bad review on TripAdvisor, no? So for this, you treat your customer very well so they can go there and write something good. Of course, people can go there and make a false claim, no?
Of
All
course,
these
yes.
things happen because we are talking of human beings, and human beings are very complex, no?
Yes.
But what if maybe, for example, within the community, there are a kind of body that control the quality of the service that is being given out? What would that do to this poor customer service?
Well, me and some of my friends are me and my friends are talking about, because Carl is doing something which is like, yeah, Carl is doing a review. Carl Murray in the UK is doing a review of Caribbean restaurants up and down the country, the UK. And one of the things we're thinking of is some kind of competition where people can nominate restaurants who meet certain criteria. So we could categorize maybe from 1 to 4 or something, but we're working on that. So we're looking at a national awards which would recognize service, and hopefully that will spur people on and widen the debate, widen the dialogue around customer service.
Yeah, I think that will help because, of course,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we can't justify that. Okay, well, we are people of African origin, so we are okay if we are poorly served. No, we are not okay if we are poorly served. We don't want our services to be substandard. If we are in New York, our services need to be the way it is in the New York.
Yes,
If we
right.
are in London, it need to be the way it is in London. It doesn't have to be in a certain way because we are not certain people. We are just like every other person. At least I think that is how I
Yes.
see it. No.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way you've put that. Yes. Yeah, if we're in New York, it should be in line with New York expectations. If we're in London, yeah, I agree. If we're in Italy, it should be in line with, yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I like that.
All right. Now, another thing I'm trying to understand is the reaction of the people that are reading your book and by extension, getting the message. Because perhaps you might have told somebody, because now we are not reading the book, no, but we have gotten what is inside the book. So we are talking about it. Maybe you discuss the idea with somebody, or maybe the person read your book is a say they got the information. What are their reactions?
Well, when I posted the book on Twitter, one of the first things I remember when I posted the book on Twitter, this woman replied that she's buying 6 copies. So I said, I will send you 6 copies. She said, no, 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 I want to buy them. I wanted to send her complimentary because she said she's taking them to 6 shops because she said because she just placed an order for food online and the person replied, "We are closed because of COVID," and she will get her money back when they reopen. I kid you not. I could show you the tweets. And so, I have had many people say, "Oh, I want a copy because I know." And I think she bought them because I saw on my, on the back end of Amazon, you can see how many books you sold, and you can see where people bulk buy. And somebody did buy 6 books together, 6 or 7, and I suspect it's this person. She said to me, this other woman said to me that many people have said to me they want a book because they know exactly where they're going to put it. They're going to know who they're going
That is already
to
a protest.
they're going to
That is
get.
a
Yes,
protest.
yes. It is that they're going to take it into certain shops and slap it on the counter. I don't know how that's gone, but that's what many people say. I have had 1 or 2 people say to me, you shouldn't talk about this in public. This is private amongst us, all this nonsense. But
Oh, no
yeah,
way. This is
yes, one
business.
man said on LinkedIn, it's on LinkedIn. You can look up my profile on LinkedIn where this man said to me, if you have a problem, you need to go speak to the shop owners themselves. You shouldn't be saying it on public.
Well,
So
we
there's
are
some,
we are in public and we're talking about it. If something is wrong, it's wrong.
yeah.
So how are we going to fix it in private?
Thank, thank God, 90% of people are very supportive and think it's a good thing and think somebody has to talk about it because it needs to be talked about. So thankfully, 90% of public supports the fact that we're talking about it, because if we don't talk about it, how can we resolve it? you know. And I've been approached. There's a woman who approached me. I can't remember her name. I need to be in touch with her again as well. She wants to do. She's very interested in going in and talking about customer relationships and making these shops. She wants to talk to them about how they can make their stores more welcoming, what they can do in terms of decor and ambiance and how they talk to people. She's interested in doing that kind of work. So yeah, so we're and I think for me now, I think for now, I need to be thinking more about solutions. The next book should be more about a solutions-based approach to this matter. So really, really looking at the solutions.
That would be really important. That would be really
Yeah,
interesting. And when you
yeah,
get it ready, let me know so that we can share with people.
yeah. I will, I will, I will, I
All
will.
right. All right. Now, Yvonne, tell me, have you had a personal experience of this poor customer service that you can relate?
Oh my God, where do I begin? But you see, it's yeah, this is not even always with black businesses, is it? Because I had a horrible experience with an Asian dentist last week, and I'm not going back. I felt patronized. I don't know if she was working with her caste system. I don't know if she was being ageist. I don't know what her problem was, but she just was just so off as a dentist. What are you gonna do with my teeth? I'm the dentist. No, I want to know what you're planning to do. I've got certain things I need done, but I can't see what you need done. I said, well, you can't see, but I can see. Yeah, it's a crazy, absolutely crazy situation. Um, in terms of our own business, it's the same. It's the same slow service. I phone order something. I get there, it's not ready. I'm asking if it's ready. Why is it not ready? Why can't you see we're busy in the kitchen? This kind of shouting at you. I was like, oh. I said, but I phoned. I didn't drive. I phoned. I'm just coming back from London. I've got a taxi outside. I phoned and I ordered it because I can't wait. I have to pay to wait to collect it. I just need to know if all this. So and then they're looking at me like I'm the crazy one because I'm asking if it's ready. So that was my most recent experience about 2-3 weeks ago.
It's quite hilarious.
Yeah, and then ordering something and getting like a spoonful of something from our culture in the thing, charging me how much money, and because it's delivery, what can you do? This thing arrived, one spoonful. It's like somebody giving you a spoonful of egusi in a container. What are you gonna do with it? you know? Why would you do? I'm not gonna order from you again now. I mean, I've ordered from them a couple of times before. I'm not 100% great with my food, but then you're gonna send me food with a spoonful of egusi. It's not egusi, but I'm just saying, for example, what would you do with it? Somebody send you a two spoonfuls in the plate in the container. That's crazy. Why would you do that?
Well,
Exactly.
that is a poor service we are talking about, and people
Yes,
should businesses should understand that there are, because if there are
I'm
no
not going back.
yeah, sure, sure. If there are no consequences for your action,
Yeah,
people will do whatever they like.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. The dentist, I'm writing a long letter to the dentist. I'm gonna when I'm finished with you here, I'm gonna finish it, and I shall be sending that off to let them know exactly how I feel. And I've made I'm making an appointment to see a different dentist. I phoned somebody up yesterday. I can't. I'm not having it. I'm not. There's no way I'm paying my money and having bad service. I'm not doing it.
All right. Now, do you think that this poor service continue because people are not complaining about it, or because those that are rendering the service, you don't know that they are even rendering a bad service?
I think what I think people are arrogant. I think people are arrogant and they're just not putting. They're just not put. I think no. I don't think anybody has it together like the Chinese. I never thought I'd be in any public forum bigging up the Chinese or talking about China. I don't really like to talk about other cultures, but I really do feel that this transaction, this situation regarding transaction, I feel as though the Chinese don't get it twisted. I think they're very clear about their motives for running the business, and I don't think they care what you look like. They don't care about anything except their money. in that
And
context.
I'm only trying to clarify that. So, when you give them their money, do they always give you the service that you want?
I don't use them that much, to be honest. To be fair, but the times I have, I just find they're not overly friendly. They're not anything. I just feel they're much more transactional than we are. I don't
And
know
yet,
what gets something gets in the way of us being transactional. Something, and then I don't know if it's service versus servitude, but something gets in the way of us just providing the service quickly, efficiently, feeling a sense of rush, a sense of hurry. The Chinese don't seem to have any of those kind of what do you call it? Uh issues. They don't seem to carry any baggage like that. You want ribs, we'll give you ribs. Ribs coming up, and the tutus you have it. They don't seem to carry that kind of baggage.
do you see it to be a good thing or a bad thing? I'm going to understand it from there.
What you mean? Well, I'm saying it in the context of the black business. I want our community to have wealth. If black community wealth, African community wealth, if it means that we have to be more efficient, more service driven, less emotional, less tied up, just think about it as you want a goosey stew, I give you a goosey stew coming up right now, and you do everything to get it out to that person hot, ready, packaged nice. That's all you want to do, and you collect their money. Thank you. That's it. But what is it that gets in between, in the way of them just doing that? What is it? I don't want to serve no black people. I can't be this. Why don't they just cook it at home? Or why are they standing there? Why are they? I don't know what's going on. I can't read anyone's mind. But what the hell is it that gets in between just delivering a service?
Well, that is that is an important conversation. In fact,
I've
that
never
is why
been
we
in
are.
a Chinese and seen them on their phone. I've never been into a Chinese order. I haven't been in for a long time and I don't go often. But I've never ever been in when I see them on their phone and not jump up when you walk in to serve you. Never seen it. I've never seen you ask them for something on the menu and say that they don't have it. Very rare.
That means that you need to be driven home. Yeah, yeah, you need to be driven home and for a clear objective that we
Yeah.
want the money to remain within the community. Because I don't really know if people are thinking what I'm thinking or
No,
what you are complaining
I
on.
don't think they think. I don't think when they see me, I think Chinese don't even like black people. When black people go into the shops, I don't think they see me and see money. I think they see service. I don't want to. I've got to serve somebody. I'm not. I mean, I'm not in. They need to just see money, nothing else, just money. But they don't. I
Mhm.
think they get all confused. If something goes off in our head, in our psyche, and and we just have a mental freak out. And if we don't love ourselves, and we don't love ourselves enough, then we can't love the person standing in front of us. And so it's problematic.
All right. So of course we're going to touch into the how in another occasion, in another way, in another dimension. But for now, I'm trying to understand what effort does good customer service does for a business. Of course, in this case, we are looking at African owned business, whether you are in UK or whatever it is
Wherever.
that you
Yeah.
are. What effect does it, if you have a good service or you don't have a good service, what difference does it make anyway?
One, it makes people want to come back to you. If the service is good, you want people want to feel good. We talk about going to the barber shop and going to the hairdressers. We don't just go to get our hair done. Sometimes we can wash it out at home. Sometimes we can do our hair ourselves. We go for the experience, and when we go shopping generally, we want to feel valued as well. We want to feel valued. We want to feel we're spending our money. It should mean something. We work Most times black people work twice as hard for their money. We have to work hard. So when we're spending it, I think people want to feel valued. They want to feel respected. The third or fourth thing is that if you have a good experience, you tell other people. People will tell other people they had a good experience, and they will refer people. Somebody say, "Oh, I want to get some water. You should go down to John's shop. Oh, I really need to get a nice watch. Oh, Obehi sells watches. That's what you want. You want your mouth to trip off people's tongue when somebody asks for something. Immediately they think of that person because it's a good experience. The other reason is you make money. If I keep coming back, if I keep bringing people back, then your money, it's a sustainable business. So the more people that keeps coming back, the more sustainable. Because what is the point of having a business for 2 years, 3 years, and then bust? We want to build sustainable business that can open branches. You can send your children to private school. You can put money into the community for disadvantaged youth. You can help in the community with community centers. You can help to build infrastructure. You can send a child to school who back home who parents can't afford to educate their children. There's so much you can do when there's money in our community. We need to stop being such consumers and stop spending our money buying things from other people and buy from, we need to go to our own people. Make me a dress, take cloth and buy cloth and take it to dressmaker in our community. Make me a dress. It's just going to fit you better than the one you buy in the high street. It's going to be a better fit. Sometimes those fabrics, they last forever. Wash. You know how many dresses I have? You wash. The color is still bright. I'm fed up of the frock. I've had it for years. The color is still standing up because it's good fabric, right? So I think we need to think about building wealth in our community because we're not respected in many places because of lack of money, especially in the West. And we talk about other communities, and I don't like to talk about other communities. But until we're in a position financially, we won't be respected. We need to be in a position to put our money. They talk about corruption in Africa, but people don't talk about corruption in the Western nations. When they talk about people giving donations to they talk about in this country. They say we give donations to parties, to political parties. We put 4 million in this party. And people put 4 million in a party, or what happens in that community when they put the 4 million? Huh? What happens with that business when they put the 4 million? Where are Black people putting 4 or 5 million per business into a party?
Know where they put the money in the church.
Please don't let me. That's a whole different conversation.
Hey, you were asking where they put the money. I'm telling you where they put the money.
Yeah, and this is the problem that we have, right? They put the money in the church and then they walk past the Black grocery shop and go into the other shop and buy the plantain for 1 penny cheaper because the Black shop is selling it 1 penny dearer. The Black shop is spending it 1 penny dearer because they're buying it probably 4 times dearer than the one next to them. People just don't understand economics and how we're being used as Black people. They don't understand the rent where the Black person is paying for that shop is more than the rent the other person is paying for the shop next to him. So they put the money in the church and they walk past the Black business and what does the church do with the money? They say one woman told me that she has to pay because her pastor needs to go on holiday. I just said a prayer for her. I did. I had to say a prayer. She said her pastor needs to go on holiday. I don't understand anything like that. I don't understand it. Meanwhile, our children. Meanwhile, the least able in our society, we can't provide community centers. We can't fund anything. We have volunteers in our community running around, working hard, getting sick, high blood pressure, diabetes, dying, dropping down dead, heart attack, because too few people are doing too much with too little. Because why? We're putting our money in the church and we're not building our economy. So we can't help our poor.
All right, fine. Now, see, this is a very important question. That we have talked about the problem, different angle of it, of course, where they are coming from, what are the costs, and now, of course, we have also talked about what it would mean if we were to, if this problem were not there, how our economy can grow bigger. Now, the solution. What do you think are the best 3 examples to be done? What do you think people can realistically do as a solution to poor services in the community? For customer service, of course.
Or in their own shops. You talked about in their own business place.
Yeah. Because we are talking about poor customer service, no?
Yeah.
How can this be addressed? What are the three best way to do it?
Very simple. The first thing they need to do is make sure they're treating the person who owns the business needs to make sure that the person on the front who's representing them, make sure that person is happy. Whatever will make that person happy, make sure that person is happy and well fed. If that person is not happy, is hungry, is not being treated right, then they will be very unhappy and miserable on the counter. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. The second thing is that where possible, these companies, these businesses are not very big. Where possible, if the owner is a decent person, where possible, they need to train their staff. Just make sure their staff understand what it means to be friendly, polite, and if they can explain the difference between service and servitude. The owner needs to train themselves about what is service and servitude. The owner needs to be comfortable and understand it, because often the owners don't. The owner is sometimes the main problem, where they think they've arrived now. They're living in a country where they're marginalized. So they now have a business. So they think they're big King Kong. No, you're not. You just got a small business. So stop being a bully. And the thing is to just be nice and provide a decent service to people. Admit when you're wrong. Try and rectify problems. If a customer comes to you and says, this isn't right, or that isn't, don't argue with the person. Even if the person's, don't argue. There's nothing to be gained from arguing with a customer. What do you win? How can you win that you can't win that conversation, right? So try and find a resolution, and try and find it very quickly. And it may cost you £20, or it may cost you, so take it on the chin. But at least let the person leave feeling that because customers are just people. And somebody may have had a bad day, their marriage may have broken down, there may be depression, there may be even slightly off kilter mentally. But as a business owner, what do you want? The outcome that you want is for that person to leave satisfied. So there is no benefit to you whatsoever to get into argument to prove how right you are.
But then you lose the customer.
Yeah, the person says they wanted 3 bananas and they only got 2, and you gave them 3. Give them another one. Is it going to kill you to give them 1 more banana?
All right. Now, what about the series on this book? Do you have any future plan about it? You want to write more? I know you did mention of the solution. Tell us more about that.
So I think our solutions focused. Maybe some case studies and how they can be, how people can deal with situations like I just explained. Like proving you're right, maybe some stories around people trying to prove themselves right, and how there's no right in this. There's no right or wrong. It's just an outcome that you want that's favorable. And in the series, I think I might want to write about hairdressers. And there's lots of different areas around like marketing. A lot of people start a business and they say, everyone's my customer. Everyone isn't your customer. You need to determine who your customer is and market your services towards them. So there's something to write about that. There's sort of financial management. There are lots of different areas to write about. So yeah, so I don't know in what sequence or in what order the books will come, but yeah, there will be sequential.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have come to the conclusion of this conversation, and it'll be quite long as well. Of course, it's very important. The thing that because there are a lot of things to talk about here, though. If we were to really go deeper, though, look at that.
Interviewer.
Okay, so what will be your further reflection in this conversation? Because we have come to the end of it. And what would be it can be a message, whatever it is, to end the conversation on poor customer service within the community? Let's go.
My final message, if you are in business, is to understand that without customers, you do not have a business. It is easier to keep the customers you have than to get new ones. So treat the customers you have with great care and protection. Thank you, Obehi.
Thank you very much, Yvonne.